It was supposed to be a routine traffic stop. The sun was beginning to set on a suburban neighborhood in central California. Officer Jacob Keller, a 5U veteran of the force, was finishing up what had been an uneventful day. He had no reason to believe the dark SUV swerving slightly over the median would be anything other than a minor DUI case. Bodycam activated, dashcam rolling, he pulled the vehicle over. Inside the SUV was 28-year-old Marcus Howell, a local mechanic and father of one. Marcus had just left his shop after working a double shift. According to reports later retrieved, he was exhausted, not intoxicated. He had barely slept in 3 days. His child had been sick, his wife was working nights, and the weight of his world was grinding him down. The footage shows Keller approaching calmly. "Evening, sir. License and registration, please." Marcus, visibly tired, fumbled for his glove compartment. His hands shook. "Everything all right?" Keller asked, tone still professional. What neither man knew at the time was that this stop would end in national headlines. Someone would be dead. The other would never work again. Keller's bodycam footage is chilling in retrospect. As Marcus reaches for his documents, Keller notices something in the console, a flash of metal, or what looks like one. Instinctively, his hand moves to his holster. But Marcus doesn't lunge. He doesn't even react. "Sir, keep your hands where I can see them." Marcus freezes. "My license is just right here, officer," Marcus says, confused, blinking under the cruiser's spotlight. "Keep your hands out. Step out of the car." Marcus hesitates. "Why? I haven't done anything." The tension crackles like electricity. Keller, now clearly alarmed, calls in for backup. His voice on the radio is clipped, professional. Unit 42 requesting support. Possible weapon visible, driver non-compliant. But Marcus was compliant, or at least, that's how it appeared to viewers later, when the footage hit the media. He was scared, confused, and Keller, perhaps unconsciously, had escalated things. It's a crucial turning point, one that sets everything else in motion. At 7:46 p.m., while still standing outside the SUV, Marcus receives a phone call. Bodycam audio picks up a soft ringtone. He answers without thinking. "Marcus, where are you?" It's his mother. "I'm pulled over. Something's wrong." The officer barks at him to drop the phone. Marcus flinches. "Mom, I gotta go." Keller interprets the movement as a threat. He raises his voice. "Hands. Now." Marcus drops the phone and steps out, hands up. Seconds later, the backup unit arrives. Officer Lynn Torrance steps out, hand on her taser, and quickly sizes up the situation. The two officers talk briefly out of Marcus's earshot. Torrance recommends detaining him until they can search the vehicle. Keller agrees. But there's a problem. They have no warrant, and Marcus has not consented. Legally, things are murky. But morally, emotionally, the damage is starting. With 2 cruisers now on the scene, the pressure builds. Marcus stands by the roadside. His phone lies on the ground, screen cracked, still on call. His mother listens helplessly. Torrance gently approaches. "Sir, can we search your vehicle?" Marcus, nervous and increasingly frustrated, says, "I haven't done anything wrong. Why are you treating me like this?" Keller interprets this as defiance. He pulls out cuffs. "I'm detaining you for officer safety," he says. Marcus steps back, not running, just retreating. That's when things spiral. A struggle begins. Keller grabs Marcus's wrist. Marcus pulls back, trying to explain. Torrance yells something unintelligible. The footage is chaotic, blurry. Lights flash. Shouts overlap. At one point, the camera jerks as Keller and Marcus tumble out of frame. What is caught next becomes the centerpiece of an entire investigation. We watch in horror as the scuffle intensifies. The bodycam shows Keller on top of Marcus, attempting to restrain him. Marcus writhes, yelling, "I can't breathe." Torrance tries to intervene, pulling Keller back, shouting, "Let him go. He's not resisting now." But Keller doesn't hear, or doesn't listen. Then, the final blow. A single punch, directly to Marcus's throat, delivered in frustration, desperation, or rage. It collapses his airway instantly. Marcus gasps. His body stiffens, then falls limp. Silence. It's Torrance who breaks it. "Oh my God." EMS is called. Too late. Marcus Howell is pronounced dead at 8:12 p.m. His mother, still on the phone, hears the commotion but not the words. "Not yet. The footage is seized within the hour. Internal Affairs opens an inquiry. Keller is suspended. Torrance is placed on leave. Social media explodes. Within 24 hours, the body cam footage leaks. The world watches the last 6 minutes of Marcus Howell's life. Frame by frame, breath by breath. Protests erupt in downtown Fresno. Hashtags trend. #Justice for Marcus, #bodycam truth. A family is shattered. A city is enraged. But what really happened in those final seconds? That question remains. In the days that follow, the Howell family is placed under protection due to threats and unwanted media attention. Marcus's wife, Angela, appears on national television. Tear Street, trembling. He was tired. He was scared. And they killed him. The police chief issues a brief statement. We are reviewing the footage. We ask the community for patience. But patience is thin. Especially when a second angle, the dash cam, reveals a new detail, Keller's voice, moments before the blow. If you fight me, I will end this. The public begins to interpret those words not as a warning, but a threat. The Howell family hires an independent coroner. The findings contradict the official police autopsy. Official report: cause of death, cardiac arrest due to physical exertion. Independent report: traumatic asphyxia due to laryngeal crush. Marcus did not die from exhaustion. He died because someone's fist closed his airway. The pressure mounts. Journalists dig into Keller's background. They uncover 3 prior complaints of excessive force. None resulted in disciplinary action. But this time, there's video. 7 days after the incident, Officer Keller gives his first public statement, through a lawyer. I feared for my life. I believed he was reaching for a weapon. I regret the outcome but stand by my training. The backlash is immediate. Protesters camp outside the police station. Artists paint murals of Marcus. Civil rights attorneys announce they will pursue federal charges. Torrance is subpoenaed. Her cooperation could decide the case. Behind closed doors, she battles guilt. She knows what she saw, and what she tried to stop. As the trial looms, a quiet smear campaign begins. Anonymous sources leak details about Marcus's juvenile record. Old photos surface. Headlines spin narratives of aggression. But they underestimate the public's resolve. Marcus's widow speaks again. You don't kill a man because he's tired. You don't silence a father because you're afraid of the dark. And the footage, that undeniable footage, continues to loop across every screen in America. A man gasping, a voice shouting, a blow falling, the moment that changed everything. On day 15, the district attorney convenes a grand jury. Keller faces potential charges ranging from manslaughter to second-degree murder. The defense argues use of force protocol. The prosecution plays the body cam footage again. And again. Torrance testifies, her voice trembling. I told him to stop. I told him Marcus wasn't resisting. Outside, crowds chant. Signs read, body cams don't lie. But juries are human. When the decision finally arrives, the nation holds its breath. The grand jury declines to indict on murder. Instead, they recommend charges of involuntary manslaughter. The response is volcanic. Riots break out in several cities. Police precincts are targeted. Angela Howell issues a plea for peace. My husband wanted to come home to his child. Please don't destroy your own home in his name. Meanwhile, Keller posts bail and disappears from public view. His silence fuels outrage. Behind courtroom doors, something shifts. Whispers of a plea bargain emerge. Keller's defense team negotiates furiously. In exchange for testimony about department culture and training failures, Keller might receive a reduced sentence. But Angela refuses to accept a deal that doesn't include a conviction. Her attorney calls a press conference. We want transparency. We want trial. A whistleblower from within the department leaks the academy's training manual. The content is damning. Simulations that escalate to violence. Instructors encouraging domination over de-escalation. Role-play exercises titled Control or Be Killed. Public confidence collapses. Local lawmakers demand reform. Federal investigators arrive. The Howell case is now national. A tearful interview with Marcus's 9-year-old daughter goes viral. He said he'd be home for dinner. It's a moment of heartbreak that reignites the fire. Children marching with signs. Athletes kneeling during national anthems. The Howell name becomes a symbol of loss, of reckoning, of change demanded. The pressure on the DA intensifies. The courtroom is packed. Media lines the walls. Protesters chant outside. Angela sits in the front row, clutching her late husband's wedding ring. Her eyes never leave Keller. Opening statements begin. The prosecution wastes no time. This is not just about excessive force. This is about a conscious decision to end a life. The defense counters. Officer Keller reacted to a perceived threat. It was a tragic misunderstanding, not malice. And so begins the trial that could redefine how America sees its protectors. Key witnesses take the stand. Officer Lynn Torrance delivers damning testimony. He didn't listen. I told him to back off. Then the medical examiner confirms. The final blow collapsed Marcus's airway. But it's the bystander footage, a shaky cell phone video from across the street, that stuns the courtroom. It shows Keller pausing, clenching his fist, before striking. That single frame freezes in every juror's mind. Keller's lawyers bring character witnesses. Former supervisors speak of his bravery. Awards are shown. Letters of praise from community members are read aloud. They introduce Keller's medical records. PTSD, anxiety, a pattern of stress-induced reactions. He wasn't malicious, they argue. He was broken. The room shifts. The defense paints a picture, not of a killer, but of a man at the edge. Angela Howell takes the stand. I watched the footage. I watched my husband die. And I've watched it over and over. Not because I want to, but because I have to. Because it's the only way people believe me. She turns to Keller. You didn't see a father. You didn't see a tired man. You saw a threat. And now my daughter has nightmares of sirens. Even the judge struggles to maintain composure. Then, the twist. In a shocking turn, Officer Keller takes the stand against his legal team's advice. He admits the final blow was intentional, but not because he thought Marcus had a weapon. I was scared, and I was angry. He made me feel out of control. I hit him because I wanted it to stop. Gasps echo across the courtroom. The jury stays in disbelief. This case just changed. The jury is sequestered. Deliberations begin. Behind closed doors, tempers flare. Some jurors want a murder conviction. Others hesitate. The confession was emotional, but was it premeditated? Legal analysts debated on national TV. The footage, the confession, the training culture, the character witnesses. After 29 hours, a verdict is reached. The courtroom is silent as the jury foreman rises. On the charge of second-degree murder, we find the defendant guilty. Gasps, cries, applause outside. Keller remains motionless. Angela breaks down, clutching her daughter. The crowd erupts in chants. Justice, finally, though some argue it came too late. Keller is handcuffed in front of the cameras. The system has spoken. The judge hands down the sentence, 20 years in state prison, no parole for the first 15. Keller stays ahead, emotionless. The court listens as Angela reads her victim impact statement. I wake up every night to the sound of silence, because the last thing I heard from Marcus was a gasp. Then she turns to Keller. You don't just wear a badge, you carry lives with it. You dropped mine. The Howell case triggers massive reforms. A federal task force is formed to investigate police training nationwide. Keller's confession is used in seminars. Police departments revise use of force protocols. The academy that trained Keller is shut down. Civil lawsuits follow. Fresno pays a $13.6 million settlement to the Howell family. Other families come forward with their own stories. Marcus's name is now more than a hashtag. It's a symbol. 6 officers resign. The chief steps down. Officer Torrance, praised for her courage, speaks publicly. I swore to protect life. That night, I failed. But I won't be silent again. She launches a nonprofit called Code Blue Reform, aiming to train officers in empathy, de-escalation, and ethical intervention. Her first seminar, What I Should Have Done Differently. A scholarship fund is established in Marcus Howell's name. It supports children of victims of police violence. A mural of Marcus is painted in downtown Fresno. Below it reads, You saw a threat. We see a father. Angela becomes a national advocate. She speaks at rallies, town halls, even the White House. She ends every speech with, Watch the footage. Don't forget the final blow. The Howell case sparks debates in every major city. Cities pass new laws. Community panels gain oversight power. Bodycam footage must now be released within 72 hours of use of force incidents. Congress holds hearings. But it's not just policy, it's personal. People begin to ask, what if that were my brother? My son? My husband? Keller begins his sentence at a maximum security facility. Isolated. Watched. Is visited only once, by his sister, who asks one question: why? He says, I thought I was doing my job, but I wasn't trained for fear. He spends most days in silence, watching the news, seeing Angela on TV, seeing Marcus's face everywhere. Angela publishes a memoir titled The Last Gasp, My Fight for Marcus. It becomes a bestseller. Critics call it devastating and urgent. Survivors of police violence call it a voice for the voiceless. In it, she writes, when I watched the footage, I wasn't just watching my husband die. I was watching trust crumble. I was watching history repeat. Angela launches a national initiative, Final Blow, a project that collects stories, trains families, and educates officers. The tagline, don't wait for the footage. Act before the blow. In schools, students are taught the Howell case. In training rooms, officers are asked, what would you have done differently? And on the anniversary of Marcus's death, across cities nationwide, a minute of silence is held. One breath, one blow, one moment that changed a nation. Just when the dust seemed to settle, an anonymous source leaked a second bodycam recording. This one from Officer Harold Reyes, who had been present during the initial encounter but was largely silent during the investigation. The footage had never been submitted to the internal records, allegedly due to a device malfunction. Yet here it was, intact and damning. What it captured would threaten to unravel everything the trial had supposedly resolved. In the newly uncovered footage, we see Officer Reyes standing behind his patrol car as Officer McAllister approaches Donnell's vehicle. From this angle, Donnell's hands remain visible the entire time, up, open-palmed, trembling. He repeatedly says, I'm not reaching for anything, just seconds before McAllister fires. The tape also captures Reyes murmuring, this ain't right, before the gunshot rings out. It's faint, easily missed without a close listen, but once it's heard, it's undeniable. The release of this footage sends shockwaves through the public, law enforcement, and legal communities. Calls for reopening the case intensify overnight. The source of the footage comes forward, a young IT technician named Ellie Norwood who had worked briefly in the precinct's digital evidence room. She had found the footage buried in a misfiled archive folder, flagged it, but was told to forget it ever existed. But she couldn't. The footage haunted her. In an exclusive interview, Ellie explains that she had reached out to the department internally several times but was met with silence. Fearing retaliation, she chose to leak the footage anonymously. Her identity becomes public only after a news agency verifies her claims. The DA's office is now under immense pressure. The community demands accountability not only for McAllister's actions but for the institutional cover-up that may have followed. Protesters chant Ellie's name alongside Donnell's. She becomes an unexpected hero, even as she faces threats and scrutiny. In the wake of the second tape, more revelations surface. Internal memos indicate that officers on the scene shared a group chat, discussing what angles their bodycams had captured and whether anything would need to be cleaned up. Angela's legal team petitions for a new trial based on suppression of evidence. The judge, who had presided over the original case, recuses herself. A new federal investigation is launched into the department's handling of the case. The mayor, once staunchly defensive of the police department, publicly calls for resignations. The police chief steps down. Officers Reyes and 2 others are suspended pending further investigation. The city, once silent, is now ablaze with protests, rallies, and vigils that blur the line between mourning and revolution. In an unprecedented move, the Department of Justice brings federal civil rights charges against Officer McAllister, Officer Reyes, and 2 others involved in the cover-up. Angela, still grieving but now empowered by momentum, agrees to testify before Congress. Her speech is equal parts anguish and fury. You killed my husband twice, she says. Once on that street, and once again in that courtroom. National media descends again on the small city. Law schools begin using the case in lectures. Civil rights leaders call it a pivotal moment in the fight for police reform. Angela meets with families of other victims. A mural of Donnell goes up on a downtown wall, with the words, "He told the truth. They shot anyway." The image of him with his hands up becomes iconic, reproduced on posters, t-shirts, and social media banners. The federal trial is emotionally grueling. Officer McAllister takes the stand again, now visibly worn, almost unrecognizable. This time, he breaks down, not in rehearsed remorse, but in unraveling fear. "I didn't know what he was going to do," he sobs. "I was scared." But the prosecutors counter with the footage. Then why did you lie? Reyes testifies, this time in full, saying he should have spoken up and admitting that pressure from within the department kept him silent. His testimony is a double-edged sword. It confirms the cover-up but also paints a picture of fear and institutional rot that forced silence. The jury deliberates for weeks. Outside the courtroom, tensions rise. Everyone knows that this verdict is about more than just one man. It's about the value of truth in the face of systemic deceit. Federal court finds Officer McAllister guilty on all charges. The announcement hits like thunder. The crowd outside erupts. Some cheer, some cry, many do both. Officer Reyes and the two other officers are found guilty of conspiracy to obstruct justice. Sentencing is set for a later date. Angela, standing outside with her children, delivers a statement. Her voice cracks but does not break. It doesn't bring Donnell back, but it tells my son that the truth still matters. The footage that once symbolized fear now becomes a catalyst for change. Legislation inspired by the case passes in 2 states, requiring third-party bodycam audits and expanding whistleblower protections in law enforcement. Angela starts a nonprofit in Donnell's name, the Final Light Foundation. Its mission, to support families impacted by police violence and to push for transparency in policing. Donations flood in. The foundation offers legal aid, mental health resources, and digital toolkits for safely recording police interactions. Angela tours schools and universities, telling her story not with bitterness, but with resolve. Her strength becomes the center of a Netflix documentary titled Hands Up, the Donnell Harris story. In it, viewers see both the horror of that night and the power of resilience that followed. Meanwhile, the city begins the long, slow process of reform. A new police chief is appointed. Community review boards are created. It's not a revolution, but it is a step. Donnell's son, Caleb, now a teenager, writes an essay for his school's national writing contest. Titled The Night My Father Didn't Come Home. It wins first place. In it, he writes, "They took my father, but they couldn't silence him. Every time someone sees that footage, they hear him say, 'I'm not reaching for anything.' And maybe, just maybe, that'll stop the next trigger from being pulled." His essay goes viral. Angela reads it aloud at a memorial gala for victims of police violence. There's not a dry eye in the room. Years pass. Angela is now a national advocate, often invited to speak on panels about policing, race, and justice. Some cities model reform programs after her foundation's work. Donnell's story becomes a case study in police academies, not just about what went wrong, but how the truth fought its way back. Other families join forces. The network grows. Real-time alerts for bodycam blackouts become a standard tool. The public now has an app that instantly uploads footage to the cloud, reducing the chance of deletion or tampering. Slowly, the culture within departments shifts. Slowly, but surely. In the final scene of the documentary, the camera returns to that original moment. Donnell, stopped at the side of the road, hands up. But this time, the footage fades into a wide shot. Murals, marches, laws, children holding signs that say justice lives here. Angela narrates, "They tried to end his story with one final blow. But they didn't know that was just the beginning." As credits roll, viewers are prompted with a call to action. Know your rights. Record responsibly. Demand accountability. And just like that, the story of Donnell Harris lives on, not just in footage, but in hearts, in laws, in the world he never got to see.